Hello friends, this is the first video in the CSES dynamic programming video series. In this video, we will be solving the problem number 1, which is dice combinations. So the problem statement is, your task is to count the number of ways to construct sum n by throwing a dice one or more times. Each throw produces an outcome between 1 and 6. For example, if n is equals 3, there are 4 ways. 1 plus 1 plus 1 or 1 plus 2 or 2 plus 1 or 3. Then in input we are given the only input line has an integer n, and in output we have to print the number of ways modulo 10 raised to power 9 to 7. As our answer could be large enough, so we will be printing it modulo 10 raised to power 9 to 7. Then constraints n is greater than or equals 1 but lesser than or equals 10 raised to power 6. Then we are given a sample case. First let's try to understand the problem statement. This is a pretty simple problem in which we are given an integer n, which is the sum we want to achieve by throwing a dice any number of times. Now we have to find out all the different possible ways to get the sum n by throwing dice any number of times. It could be 0 times, it could be 1 times, 2 times, or up till n times. So let's see the sample case. So let's say as we are given 3, so for 3 the possible ways, if you will try to think, are either 1 1 1 or 1 2 or 2 1 or finally 3. Now there are 4 possible ways. Now if you will try to think about this one, how we are getting these 4 possible ways. Now if you will consider these two, these are basically nothing, adding 2, the number of ways we can adding 2 after a 1, this we can call adding 3 after a 0, and this one we can say adding a 1 after 2. So can we say for any number n, we are considering the previous possibilities. Now if you will think about possibilities to write 0, in how many ways you can get the sum 0 by throwing dice? There's only one possible way. This is your n, this is your possible ways, or let's say answer. So for number 0, the possible way is 1. For number 1, the possible ways are, now in how many ways you can get 1? By just throwing a dice with number 1, you can get a 1. So can we say these are the number of ways we were getting 0? Because in all those ways in which we can get 0, if we will throw a dice with number 1 as well, then we will get 1. Now for 2, similarly for 2, can we say the number of ways to represent 2 are the number of ways to represent 0 plus number of ways to get the sum 1? Because in all those ways, in all those possibilities in which we are getting 0, if we will throw a dice with number 2, we will be able to get 2. And in all those possibilities in which we are getting 1, if we will throw a dice with number 1 along with the previous ones, we will get 2. So we can say 2. And if generally you will think, then also you will be able to know there are only 2 possible ways to write 2, either 1 1 or 2. Now similarly for 3, either you can throw a dice with number 3 after 0, basically this one, or you can throw a dice with number 2 after the 1. Now there is only one possible way to throw a dice with number 2 after 1. Then, or else we can throw a dice with number 1 after we are having previous sum 2, because previous sum 2 is possible in 2 different ways. So throwing a dice with number 1 after previous sum 2 is possible in 2 ways. That's why we are getting 4. Now similarly, if you will find for 5 6, you will get it in same ways. Now for 5 there would be 8 ways. Similarly for 6 it will be 16 ways. For 7 it will be 32 ways. No, not 32. For 7 it will be 31 ways. Why? Because Now this is the another thing on which we have to pay attention, that we are adding till here. We can throw, for getting 7, we can throw a dice with number 6 after 1. We can throw a dice with number 5 after 2. We can throw a dice with number 4 after 3. We can throw a dice with number 2 after 5. We can throw a dice with number 1 after 6. So these are the possible ways. And if you will add them, you will get 31. Because you cannot throw a dice with number 7. Because on a dice, the largest possible number is 6 only. So let's try to code this one. First we will take a long int type variable n and then store value in it. Now this n represents the number which we want to represent using various dice combinations. Then we will create a dp now initial value of dp will be 1 because there is one way to represent number 0 using combination of dice. Now we will start from the number previous to the current number and go till either 0 or j, not j, I minus 6, whichever is largest. Because if I minus 6 is larger than 0, then we won't go till 0 because it's not possible to get a number 7, 8 or 9 on a dice in just one throw. And if it's smaller than 0, then we will be going till 0 only because it's not possible to get negative numbers on our dice. Then in this loop we will keep on updating our dp of I is equals dp of I modulus mode plus dp of j modulus mode now we need to take a long type variable mode and store its value 1e 9 plus 7. Then after updating our dp of I, we will keep on updating dp of i's and then finally everything is done. We will print our dp of n. Let's check it for the sample case. We are getting some error. Maximum, okay. I am passing this 0 to my max function which is of integer type while my I minus 6 is of long type. So I need to convert my 0 also to long type. Yeah, now it's working. Let's try to submit it. So our solution is submitted successfully.